Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
It's a fully fledged Diablo experience full of hacks.
One of the biggest fears among Diablo II Resurrected players is the resurgence of bots and hackers. And honestly, who can blame it? The mere idea of anyone running multiple automated characters to farm gear, often by stealing from other players, and running the economy ragged is quite the unsavory thought. But can Blizzard protect Diablo II Resurrected where they failed with their other games? Well, that's what we're going to examine today. At the request of you, the community, let's talk about bots and hackers in Diablo II Resurrected.
Not even death can save you from
Hacks.
Current state of bots. Now, I say resurgence, but the truth is that despite their history of messing with online play experience, which reaches back to even some of the earliest days of Battle.net, they're still a constant nuisance to this day. They never went away. And they're not just present in old Battle.net constructs like the ones associated with Diablo II Classic, but even more updated games and builds like Diablo III, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and StarCraft II. These botters come into open games meant to be inviting to players to encourage open engagement and involvement with one another. They poach loot and run it in trade, marketed towards players seeking perhaps an item that RNG has seen fit to not be so kind with. They run services aimed at people who may be desperate enough to pay real money. Now, you would think with updated server builds, Blizzard would have a much easier time with policing servers for hackers and bots and issue sweeping bans and/or stiff penalties for engaging in such community detrimental action. But as of yet, Blizzard has been unable to step up and get this done wholesale, which from a business standpoint is not so easy. So how will things be different in Resurrected?
Bots and cheats in Diablo 2, will there be more protection against them in D2R?
Yeah, so we're moving to modern Battle.net, and so to claim that there will never be a dupe or never be bots, I would never challenge the internet. But we have far more tools in our toolbox to kind of combat things like item duping, like bots, and even things like toxic behavior. You can, now report players, chat with other people in other games. It's just a lot of the luxury that comes with running on the modern Battle.net.
Banned bots. Currently, the penalty for botting, cheating, or advertising junk that goes against community standards in a Blizzard game, if detected, will get your account banned. This has yet to deter botters for the most part, as the idea of a penalty involving removing an account is probably not all that big to someone making larger sums of money off of this enterprise. Call it cost of doing business, with emphasis on not getting caught to reduce your losses and increase profits. That is, if they're spending their own money at all and not stolen credit card numbers or bank account information from people they've scammed into giving up their account information. With little to no weight to the penalty of banning an account, little more than a temporary inconvenience at worst, is it really possible to remove it entirely from the community, if not, at the very least, reduce bot activity? Consequences and repercussions. The biggest issue of targeting botters and scammers on games like these is how do you delineate from legitimate bots and from someone who's just trying to engage in free market commerce in-game. And I'm not talking about auction houses either. I'm talking about player-to-player trading, either by way of item for item for gold, or even items or gold for real money. And with current access to cash apps, this is several times easier than it has been in the past. Some players, and a very small percentage to be certain, engage in such activities and make a little extra scratch on the side. They don't go out poaching loot and engaging in the same activities as their more illicit counterparts. So, if implementation were to be issued to reduce botting, it would have to maintain a very delicate balance that would protect one and discourage another. Or, light forbid, remove it entirely and risk alienating the few. Possible solutions? Given this is such a highly scrutinized issue, of course it's been the discussion topic of multiple members of the community. While most seem to want to avoid the rabbit hole of fully alienating trade in general, there have been a multitude of options discussed across Blizzard forums in hopes of rationalizing a solution to this plight. Many calls have included use of the already implemented two-party authenticator, which, again, is already being used and has done little to deter engagement due to such a methodology being able to be emulated by modern-day programs such as BlueStacks. And even periodic updates during gameplay is a seemingly unsightly idea. No one wants to be sitting there locked into a deeply enjoyable gaming session and get interrupted to confirm that it's still you playing the game. CAPTCHA is also an idea that has been tossed back and forth. Granted, there are botting programs that can maneuver around most CAPTCHA failsafes, but there are a few that are a bit more complex, such as puzzle piece CAPTCHA, but I'm sure that someone will find a way around that as well. So then, is reporting still the best method? Granted, it has led to a vast multitude of bans in the past, but it seems the botters are still winning on this one with little to no end in sight. This can't be the case then. So what is the best method? What can we as the community do to prevent botting in Diablo II Resurrected? Well, in truth, perhaps the answer lies in the community. That's right. I know that sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. Free market runs on one basic factor: demand. Demand necessitates creation of supply. So with no demand, there is no need for these services and the farming of goods by these bots. It seems idealistic to openly advocate to the community to deny botters the need to engage in their affairs, but therein lies the answer. Truth is, players created that market by realizing that they had the ability to purchase digital goods for real currency or something tradable to that degree. Therefore, in this new Diablo 2, it's also possible to eliminate this need and therefore render such services obsolete. Many of Resurrected's quality of life changes will make this all the easier, the most beneficial of which should be the shared stash feature. Think about it. You can now move any and all magic find gear across characters to one, whether you want to have one character in particular as your magic farmer, or if you just want to hoard it on whatever character you're playing at the time and farm passively. Then move any and all desirable gear to the character of your choice, and bing bang boom! You have a solution to your situation. Granted, RNG will always be the bane of our existence, but at the very least, you can mitigate this issue by utilizing this method. It's brilliant! I'm sure someone else thought it up, but since I haven't heard it, I'm patenting it. It's mine. You heard it here. Just kidding. Go nuts with it. Just consider doing things like this. Avoid trades or offers that seem just too good to be true, because the likelihood is that it is.
Okay, will trading in D2R still function the same as in D2?
So you will still have to trade with another person, but you have a lot more quality of life features.
Who else would you trade with? Yes, you have to still trade with another person.
Well, you can't trade with the mailbox, right? You can't trade with something like that. Like, so you can item link people. So if you're in a game or in a trade channel, you can be like, check out my item, and you just link it, and they can see the stats. You can also item compare, so you can compare those items to what you already have equipped. So there's a lot more quality of life things to be able to access trading in the same manner that it was done in the original.
Trade only with people you trust. Join a community like the GameLord Discord server. We're a thing. And we're pretty cool too. In the end, it's extremely difficult to remove bots and hackers for good. Keeping online and offline play separate as they have with Diablo 2 for years is a good way to help mitigate this, especially with cross-progression, local save transfers, and hero editor all still being a thing.
Hey, I was wondering, he talked about cross-save, and I think that Switch is one of the big things that has like offline mode, right? So if you're using the new Battle.net, our character save's going to be on an online version, solely online, and the consoles like Switch that go offline, can they still play those characters? My question kind of relates to cheating, hacking, and duplicating offline saves, and those contaminating online saves and then somehow making their way to PC with the cross save.
To my knowledge, when you play, okay, for an example, Diablo 3, right, on Nintendo Switch, you are able to actually play that online character offline, right, wherever you go, plane, train, automobile, whatever. With Diablo 2 Resurrected, you'll be able to play offline, but not with your Battle.net character. You'll only have your single player character. And we really made that decision because of the reasons you just brought up, right? We don't even want to get into the realm of any of the hacking or anything of that sort.
Speculatively, you can use Hero Editor to edit an old save from Diablo II Classic, then transfer it to Resurrected, then transfer it across other platforms via cross progressions. So keeping online and offline separate is crucial to mitigate this, because anytime local saves can be accessed, it runs a risk for modded items and characters. I'm looking at you, Diablo 3. But botters. Botters will always be difficult to get rid of, and if Blizzard can't find a solid solution, perhaps the community can.